Welcome. Today we're going to explore how we thrive by valuing the church. Value, as a verb, means to consider someone or something beneficial, to esteem, cherish, and appreciate. It sounds obvious, but in order to properly value the church, we need to recognize and experience the church as valuable. When we recognize what treasures we have received in the church, the teaching of the gospel of Christ, the sacraments dispensed through the ministry of apostles, a community of believers in which we have opportunities to serve and be supported, we become humbly thankful. The understanding of value the church urges us to respond. We value the church by praying for the mission that Jesus gave the church. We intentionally engage with and contribute to the community. And we value the church by giving in response to and out of thanksgiving for what God has provided. Our God is a wealthy God. Consider that He is the creator of all things, things seen and unseen. He is the creator of new life and of a perpetually existing universe. He is eternal, outside of time, Alpha and Omega, and He is love. When we respond with giving, in sincere humbleness and gratitude, we recognize that everything we have is from God. Through worship, we continually come to the realization to express, "How great Thou art." What does this motivate us to do? We must do something. We want to give. Many times our first reaction is to measure our giving based on what we realistically have at our disposal: time, energy, money, and other resources. It could be easy to slip into an attitude where we think that we are giving a considerable amount to God, and that His blessing should be bestowed upon us in relation to what we give. We might even think we do more than others in the congregation or in our community. Really? We then return to our senses and realize that God is rich and provides all that His creation requires, abundantly and eternally. What I give doesn't even move the needle for God's plenitude. I cannot compare myself to others to determine if they do less or more than I do. The perspective that we must grasp is that giving transforms our relationship with Him. It moves the needle for me. We give joyfully, without measure, whatever we can, without any need for recognition, without expectation for return. We understand that we cannot barter with the Almighty with our giving. By giving and contributing to the mission of the church, I feel more a part of the body of Christ, closer in my relationship with Him, and recognize that all I have is by His grace. Now I want to share an experience. I once spoke to a minister who was wondering about his forgetfulness. He said that members were always retelling special experiences that he and his wife shared together with them, and he doesn't remember any of it. They both had given liberally of what they had for the glory of God. No tally, no record book, just a beautiful result of the joy of glorifying God. It reminds me of the parable that Jesus told where the righteous asked the Lord, "When did we do all these things for you? When did we give you food or drink or take you in?" And He said to them, "Assuredly, I say to you, as much as you did it to one of the least of these my brethren, you did it to me." Giving had simply become a natural part of their lives, a part of who they were. It's a beautiful example of transformation. We could think, my resources are so limited and God's are so abundant. What does it matter how much I give? I only have so much time, energy, money, and resources compared to what God has. However, it matters to God, and it should matter to us as well. God looks at the heart, which we see in Jesus' teaching on the poor widow. This poor widow has put in more than all those who have given to the treasury, for they all put in out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, put in all that she had, her whole livelihood. Because God looks into our heart, perhaps what is more important is not how much you give, but rather what you keep. Naturally, this doesn't mean that we give away everything we have that God has given us and live in poverty. But it does mean that we intentionally assess what we are doing with what God has given us. Are we being good stewards of His gifts? Everyone can be a good steward of what God has provided, those who have much and those who have less, young or old, healthy or not, the strong or the weak. A Christian lives a life of generosity, sharing with others and giving some portion of what God has given us back to Him in humble thankfulness, because giving changes us.